I'm Joanna Small, the Public Information Officer for the Commerce City Police Department. It's Monday, April 28th, and these are your weekend high or low lights, depending on how you look at them. This is essentially our video blotter where we give you a rundown of the most significant incidents your CCPD patrol officers responded to over the weekend. But we always like to start these off with a few fast facts. We answered 350 calls for service and made 92 traffic stops just on Saturday and Sunday. Now here are those highlights in chronological order. On Friday, officers responded to the 9600 block of Uray Street for a porch pirate. The victim witnessed the theft occurring on surveillance camera, but the suspect had immediately fled that area. Shortly afterwards, a separate call came into dispatch regarding a suspicious person who matched the description of the previous porch pirate. Officers located the suspect and spotted the victim's package in his vehicle. The vehicle was impounded pending a search warrant, and the suspect is facing theft and possession of burglary tools charges. Overnight Friday into Saturday, an observant CCPD patrol officer pulled over a driver traveling nearly 70 miles per hour in a 45-mile-per-hour zone in the 7000 block of Quebec Parkway. The vehicle almost collided with a CCPD patrol vehicle on another traffic stop in the area before stopping in the middle of the road several times during this encounter. A breath test of the driver, who was finally contacted in a parking lot on Poplar Street, revealed his blood alcohol content was twice the legal limit allowed to operate a motor vehicle. That driver is now facing charges for DUI, speeding, driving without a license, and having an open container of alcohol in the vehicle. On Saturday, officers responded to a physical domestic violence incident in the 9500 block of Pagosa Street, in which a woman fired a gun at a man during an argument. The victim was fortunately not hit, but the suspect was taken into custody for attempted first-degree assault, prohibited use of a weapon, and domestic violence. Also on Saturday, our officers were alerted by our new technology to a stolen vehicle in the 6000 block of Parkway Drive. A vigilant CCPD patrol officer located the vehicle in question in a fast food restaurant drive-through line. Officers contacted two occupants inside the vehicle, which was reported stolen out of Arvada. The driver was arrested for third-degree motor vehicle theft and driving with a revoked license. He was transported to the Adams County Jail. On Sunday, officers responded to an egregious DUI at East 104th Avenue and Highway 2. That's where they found a driver passed out behind the wheel of his vehicle with the vehicle still in drive. They attempted to wake up the driver, but he was unresponsive and all of the doors were locked. In order to safely put the vehicle in park and get to the driver, officers used a tool to shatter one of the windows. That allowed officers to gain entry into the vehicle and successfully rouse the driver, who was found to be heavily intoxicated, so much so he had to be transported to the hospital. He is now facing DUI charges. That same shift of officers made a traffic stop in the 14,700 block of East 104th Avenue of a vehicle with no plates, and the officer was able to obtain the front passenger's information. He ran that name through law enforcement databases and determined the passenger had 2 felony warrants for his arrest, one for motor vehicle theft and the other for dangerous drugs. The suspect was taken into custody without incident and transported to jail on the warrants. That driver is facing a number of traffic-related charges to include driving without a license, driving after a revocation due to being a habitual traffic offender, and having an unsafe or defective vehicle. Again on Sunday, officers were sent to the 4100 block of East 60th Avenue for reports of a trespass. When they arrived, the subject went into one of the buildings on the property and locked himself inside. We utilized a neighboring agency's canine, and the individual surrendered and did exit the building without further incident. He's now facing charges for criminal trespass, second-degree burglary, and criminal mischief. He also had an outstanding warrant for his arrest. And finally, overnight Sunday into Monday, officers responded to a structure fire in the 7000 block of East 72nd Avenue. They learned a person inside the house intentionally lit their bed on fire after an argument. Another individual inside the house sustained minor injuries when he tried to drag the items on fire outside the house. Fortunately, everyone did make it out safely. The suspect is facing first-degree arson charges. That's all for now. We'll see you next time. Have a safer week, Commerce City, and remember, if you need us, we are always just minutes away.